Have you ever realized that the people who once held all your attention now have no power over your peace? Have you ever thought about what makes a narcissist, a person who insists they never need anyone, suddenly unable to stop thinking about you? It's not because you praised them more. It's not because you begged, chased, or tried harder to please them. In fact, it happens for the opposite reason. The moment you stop reacting, when you grow quiet, steady, and stop playing their game, that's when their obsession begins. For a narcissist, love is never truly about connection. It's always an emotional power game. They measure their worth by how much they can make you bend or doubt yourself. But when they throw out their bait and you no longer bite, when your eyes stop searching for their approval, when your voice stays calm even when they try to test you, they become puzzled, then uneasy, and eventually obsessed. Because for them, control over your emotions is control over power. And when you stop reacting, they lose that power. Yet they can't handle losing. They start trying to understand, to win again, to take back what they once ruled, your peace. The irony is cruel. The second you stop trying to make them love you is the same moment they can't stop thinking about you. Not because you're their supply anymore, but because you've turned into the only mystery they can't manipulate. And in the mind of a narcissist, nothing drives them crazier than losing control over someone who once trembled for them. When you're no longer predictable, when you stop being the easy source they depend on, they lose rhythm. Anyone who's ever been tangled with a narcissist knows that strange feeling, as if they can read you. They know exactly when you'll weaken, when you'll forgive, and when you'll come back, even after you've said, "This is the last time." They read your emotions like an open book, flipping each page to shape the ending they want. They make a careless comment, and you react instantly. They vanish for days, and you start torturing yourself. What did I do wrong? Then they return with a smile and a vague excuse, and you melt as if the pain never existed. That's when they feel powerful, because in their world, love isn't connection, it's an experiment. Every feeling you express, every reaction you give, is data they collect to keep you hooked. You become their emotional fuel, the psychic oxygen that makes them feel real. But then one day, something changes. It's not a dramatic storm, not a big confrontation, just a calm, sacred silence. You stop texting when they disappear. You stop explaining, stop writing long paragraphs to justify or beg to be heard. You simply go quiet, not from anger, but from exhaustion and realization. You see that you've been playing a game with no reward but burnout. And do you know what happens next? The narcissist starts to panic. To them, silence isn't peace, it's danger. They're used to your reactions. They depend on them. Your reactions prove they still have power. When you argue, they feel strong. When you cry, they feel needed. When you beg, they feel important. But when you stop reacting, when you don't reply to messages, when their cold tone no longer shakes you, when you meet their gaze without fear, they lose the emotional goldmine they've been mining, and suddenly they lose rhythm. They try everything, acting weak, sending nostalgic messages, bringing up old memories, even playing the jealousy card. But nothing works anymore. They're lost in a game whose rules no longer apply. Because what a narcissist fears most isn't hate, it's being ignored. When they can't make you react, they lose proof that they matter. Their inflated self-image starts to crack, and underneath that false confidence is an emptiness they can't escape. They begin to question themselves. Does she have someone else? Has he really forgotten me? Am I no longer special? Those are the same questions they once made you ask yourself. Now they're the ones tasting that loss of control they forced on others. The irony is, you did nothing. You didn't hate them. You didn't seek revenge. You didn't try to prove anything. You simply stopped taking part. You stopped feeding their ego. You stopped being their audience. And without an audience, their stage fades to darkness until it's just them, alone, with the echo of the silence they once used to hurt others. But remember, your silence isn't a trick. It's a sign of awakening. You're not quiet to punish them. You're quiet because you've stopped hurting yourself. You now know that reaction is energy. And when you protect that energy, healing begins. When they expect anger, you smile. When they expect you to beg, you stay silent. When they try to bring up old times, you simply say, "I've moved on." Not cold, just calm, not indifferent, just evolved. Do you know why your peace confuses them so much? Because in their world, every relationship runs on a pattern of push, pull, and react. They push, you pull, they withdraw, you chase. They hurt you, and you carry the pain. But when you step outside that pattern, everything collapses. Your calm isn't just control, it's freedom. And freedom, to someone who lives on control, is unbearable. Then something interesting happens. After your silence, they'll try to read you again. They'll say sweet things, apologize, maybe even admit they were wrong. But look carefully. That's not growth. It's panic dressed as regret. They don't miss you. They miss feeling important. They don't love you. They love the control they had when you loved them. When they can't read what you think or feel anymore, they start guessing. They'll watch your stories, send probing messages, ask mutual friends, maybe even accidentally run into you. Not from love, but from fear. Why isn't she needing me anymore? They wonder. That's when you realize you've taken back your power. Not the power to control, but the power to remain whole. You're no longer their supply. You're no longer their oxygen. You've become someone they can't read, can't possess, can't predict. And strangely, that's exactly why they can't stop thinking about you. Because in their mind, everyone reacts, everyone comes back, everyone fears losing them, but you don't. You walk away without resentment, without explanation, without needing to prove a thing. And to them, that's not coldness, it's mystery. And mystery drives them mad. Not because you're playing games, but because you've become the one thing they can't control. In psychology, what humans can't control often becomes what they can't forget. Here's what they don't get. You don't need to fight back to win. You just have to stay silent at the right moment and live peacefully. Because a narcissist can't stand to see you happy without them. Your peace unsettles them. And confusion is the first stage of their obsession. Remember this. No one can manipulate a person who knows their worth. No one can throw you off balance once you've learned to set your own rhythm. You don't need to fight a narcissist. You just need to stop being their prey. And when you take your energy out of their game, the game ends. When you become unpredictable, you become the paradox they can't explain. There's something ironic about narcissists. They think they understand everyone, not through empathy, but through observation. They study reactions. They notice how you smile when praised, how you grow quiet when ignored, how you try harder to please them just to earn their attention. In their head, you're a simple equation. Do A, get B. That predictability gives them control. But one day, that formula fails. They throw an insult, and you don't explain. They disappear, and you don't chase. They mention old memories, and you just smile like someone watching a movie that no longer hurts. In that instant, their world cracks because you no longer play by their rules. You've broken the emotional map they relied on to control you. To a narcissist, your unpredictability is a paradox they can't solve. They think people only have two choices, to obey or to rebel. But you do neither. You don't fight. You don't yield. You simply exist, calm, grounded, untouched. Not hating them, but not needing them either. Your mystery isn't that you hide your emotions, it's that you've mastered them. Before, they could make you glow with praise or crumble with criticism. Now, you still feel, but you don't react automatically, and that shakes them. Narcissists live off control. They need to feel like they can sway emotions. When you smile through provocation, they panic. When you stay calm through their anger, they feel powerless. They start trying again. Flattery, sarcasm, guilt. They stir up drama, press buttons, stage little crises. But this time, you don't bite. You don't explode or collapse. You simply step back and watch. You've stopped being the puppet they could pull. You're no longer the victim, nor the enemy. You're the unknown, and that terrifies them. They can't handle the thought that someone might have deeper strength than them. Emotional mastery they'll never understand. They can't believe you can smile honestly after what they did. They can't grasp how you live peacefully without needing their attention. They can't comprehend how you can face them without fear, hate, or the need to prove anything. and what they can't understand, they obsess over. You've become a puzzle without rules, and humans chase what they can't solve. For narcissists, that chase is even stronger because it threatens their illusion of control. They start watching, testing, wondering if you've truly changed or if it's an act. But they soon realize it's real. You've become your true self. The most frightening thing for a narcissist isn't rejection. It's being irrelevant. Rejection gives them drama, but irrelevance leaves them powerless. When their tricks stop working, they no longer feel significant. That's their nightmare. Seeing you as equal, something their ego can't accept. And here's the beauty of it. When you stay calm, steady, and consistent, you don't need to win. Your peace is the victory. To a narcissist, your composure is their greatest loss. They'll pretend not to care, but inside their mind spins. Why isn't she angry? Why is he so calm? How did I lose control? Those thoughts haunt them because your unpredictability triggers their deepest fear, becoming invisible. They live through how others see them. When you stop looking their way, they feel like they disappear. They may leave, but they'll circle back. Yet you're done playing. You're not seeking revenge or testing them. You've simply realized your peace belongs to you. You feel emotions, but they no longer rule you. You see their chaos, but it no longer pulls you in. You're unpredictable not to confuse, but because you're authentic. Authenticity in a world full of pretense is powerful. They once thought they were the center of your world. Now they orbit you like satellites around a steady planet, drawn not by your effort, but by your calm energy. They crave it because it's pure. They fear it because it reveals their emptiness. That's the truth they can't face. Your unpredictability isn't a tactic, it's healing. Those who are healed don't react the same because they no longer live in fear. They've met themselves. And once you've met yourself, you don't need to explain yourself to be loved. That's why you've become their mirror. They see in you everything they lack: peace, depth, and self-awareness. And that reflection terrifies them. When you become unpredictable, you're no longer something they can rewrite. You're the mystery that can't be tamed. Not because you're hiding, but because you've released what's false. And in a world full of illusions, authenticity is the most magnetic force there is. You didn't win by defeating them. You won by awakening. And that awakening is something they'll never understand because they're still asleep in their fantasy of control. And one day, when you set clear boundaries, they finally see your real worth. You'll realize love was never meant to cost you yourself. You'll remember the times you stayed quiet when you were hurting, the times you smiled through pain just to keep peace. And you'll finally understand, kindness doesn't mean allowing others to walk all over you. Boundaries aren't cold, they're self-respect. Boundaries say, I can love you, but I won't lose myself. They say, I can listen, but I won't stay silent when it hurts me. When you speak these boundaries calmly, you're not pushing people away. You're showing them your value. A narcissist doesn't understand value. They only understand power. They think love means who can endure them the longest. But when you set limits, when you say no to pain and accept that they might leave, you become unpredictable again. You're no longer a mirror to their ego, but a wall reflecting your own light, steady, bright, and whole. Boundaries scare them because they show them you don't belong to them. When you say no, they hear, I'm not afraid to lose you. When you walk away, they hear, I choose peace over chaos. And in that moment, all their tactics stop working. You no longer need approval to feel worthy. You've returned to your own power, a space where peace doesn't need permission. When you build boundaries, your light changes. It stops begging to be seen. It glows naturally, not from ego, but from knowing yourself. And that kind of peace confuses them. Because in their chaos, your calm is magnetic. They sense their grip fading, replaced by one haunting thought. How is she still okay without me? The answer is simple. Because you respect yourself. And someone who respects themselves cannot be controlled. Narcissists are used to people bending just to please them. They expect apologies when they're wrong, forgiveness without change, and endless chances. But when you say, no more, they don't know what to do. They may rage or mock you, but deep down they know you've become someone they can't reach. A boundary isn't just a wall, it's a mountain, steady, immovable, unshaken. And in a world run by emotional storms, a mountain is both feared and admired. When you set boundaries, you say clearly, I deserve respect, and if you can't give it, I'll leave. No threats, no hatred, just peace. At first, it feels strange. You might feel guilty, wondering if you're being selfish. But soon you'll see, saying no doesn't make you unkind. Boundaries don't lessen your love, they make it meaningful. Because when you know where enough is, you teach others to honor, not consume you. A narcissist may never admit it, but deep down, they respect you more when you have limits. They only look down on those who always yield. Your steadiness confuses them, then fascinates them, then haunts them. They can't understand how you can love without dependence, forgive without returning, or stay silent and still be strong. And that's when they finally see something they've never seen before. A person who loves with self-respect, gives with awareness, and walks away with faith in themselves. And that image, more than anything, makes them remember you forever. Because for them, love has always been about control and power. But for you, love is a choice. You choose to stay when it nourishes you. You choose to walk away when it costs you your peace. No hate, no desire to win, just honesty with your own heart. When you reach that space where you no longer need to argue or prove anything, you've stepped out of their power circle. You've become the one setting the rhythm instead of being dragged by it. And the irony is that the moment you pull back your energy, they try to return, not out of love, but because they can't bear the truth that you stand strong without them. Boundaries are a quiet test. They reveal who truly values you and who was only there to take. The person who fears your boundaries never planned to honor you. The one who accepts them recognizes your real worth. You begin to see that setting boundaries doesn't make you lose people. It brings you back to yourself. You sleep deeper, smile more genuinely, and love life again. You stop exhausting yourself trying to be enough just to avoid being abandoned. You stop carrying the burden of what will they think of me, because once you know who you are, no one else needs to define you. When you learn to say no to what harms you, you're also saying yes to peace, freedom, and self-respect. A narcissist might never say it, but deep down, they know they lost you the instant you drew that line. Not because you left, but because you rose to an awareness they'll never reach. And somewhere in the back of their mind, they know you're the one they should have cherished and the one they'll never have again. There was a time you lived as if love were a test, and your heart had to keep producing the right answers. You tried to speak the way they wanted, act how they approved, behave perfectly just to avoid criticism, even shrinking yourself to earn a small sign of affection. Every time they went silent, you panicked. Every time they turned cold, you tried harder. You believed that if you were patient and loving enough, they would finally see your worth. But with a narcissist, validation is never a gift. It's a tool of control. They give it to make you chase, then take it away when you're close to peace. Their entire world is built on your constant longing. And you don't realize how long you've been trapped there until one day you stop. Not because you stopped loving, but because you're drained. Maybe it's a normal morning when you look in the mirror and see the emptiness in your eyes. Maybe it's a night when you finally admit that you've been begging someone to value what was already valuable. That question doesn't come from anger, it comes from awakening. You realize your worth was never gone. It was just buried under fear. And the moment you stop proving it, their illusion starts to crumble. When you stop trying to prove yourself, you reclaim your greatest power, the right to exist without anyone's permission. The narcissist cannot understand this. Their world is a stage where everyone must play a role that serves their ego. When you step off that stage, they're lost. When you stop bowing, they panic. They wonder, did she change? Is he trying to play me? Because they can't imagine you can live without needing their approval. They've always been the center, and now that center is empty. Your freedom both frightens and fascinates them. In their mind, power comes from making others react. They feed on the energy you give. Anger, sadness, guilt, fear. All of it confirms they matter. But when you stop reacting, they lose their mirror. When you stop explaining, they lose their anchor. And when you go silent, they face what they've been running from all along, their own emptiness. Not needing to prove anything means you no longer live to meet their expectations. You step away from being their healer and become the guardian of your own peace. That's what they can't stand, because they only feel alive when someone revolves around them. When you stand still, they lose their axis. Ironically, that's when they come back, not from love, but to regain control. They'll say, "I miss you. No one understood me like you did. No one has ever loved me like you." But you see through it now, those aren't words of love, they're tactics. They don't come back for you. They come back for their ego, which can't survive your silence. See the paradox? When you chase, they pull away. When you stop chasing, they move closer. Not because they suddenly see your worth, but because they no longer control it. In their mind, whatever they lose control over becomes an obsession. But for you, this is liberation. You finally see that their attention was never a reward. It was a chain. And when you drop that chain, you lose nothing. You simply reclaim your freedom. That freedom isn't loud. It's not a dramatic exit or a slammed door. It's a quiet strength inside you, where you no longer need them to be wrong for you to feel right, no longer need them to love you to feel lovable. It's the morning you wake up and don't check your phone. It's the evening you smile, read, or listen to music and feel peace instead of emptiness. You still remember, but it doesn't sting. You still think of them, but it doesn't burn. You still feel, but those feelings no longer rule you. They sense that shift. They see it in your eyes. Eyes that no longer beg for approval. Eyes that reflect peace. That peace unsettles them more than your anger ever did. They used to believe you needed them to feel worthy. Now they see you standing tall, and it makes them question their own power. They once held the strings. Now they can only watch as you walk freely. Your freedom shows them their limits. In their world, every bond is a scoreboard. Whoever needs more loses. But when you no longer need, the game ends. They don't know their place anymore. They want the old you back, the one who always forgave, who always tried. But you can't go back. You've learned that love isn't about proving. It's about respect, about two people walking side by side, not pulling each other through fear. What makes them crave you now isn't your perfection. It's that you've become something they can't fake, someone at peace with themselves. They can mimic confidence, act humble, even speak wisely, but they can't be genuine. They fear their truth isn't enough. You, by no longer proving anything, have accepted that enough is what you've always been. And nothing is stronger than a soul that no longer needs anyone's validation to exist. When you stop trying to prove your worth, you step out of a race that never ends. You stop asking, "Am I good enough?" and start asking, "Am I true to myself?" That question breaks every chain. It turns every scar into wisdom. Looking back, you see they never stole your worth. They only made you forget it. Now you don't feel angry. You don't need revenge or even forgiveness. You simply let go. Letting go isn't defeat, it's release. It's choosing not to fight what is. When you no longer resist, you become free. When you no longer need to prove, you become still. And that stillness, that calm, grounded energy, is what they can't look away from. They once had power because you were uncertain. Now they're drawn to you because you are steady. But your strength isn't about winning anymore. It's about peace. To the narcissist, you've become the final paradox. They always thought that those who give deeply are easily broken, but you've shown the truth that those who know when to stop, when to be silent, when to detach, are the ones who love most purely. Because real love doesn't begin with proving, it begins with acceptance. And when you accept yourself, every game they built falls apart. Maybe they'll come back, maybe they won't. It doesn't matter anymore because your worth doesn't depend on who stays. It lives in how you choose to live, love, and see yourself every day. They may never understand your peace, but that's not your concern. Your peace is your home, and only you hold the key. The one who once made you doubt yourself now has to watch you walk away. Not in anger, not in hate, but radiant in your calm. Freedom is knowing you don't need anyone's approval to exist. Freedom is standing before the one who once broke you and realizing you don't need their apology to be whole. Freedom is understanding that you have nothing to prove because your existence itself is the proof. And maybe that's what they crave the most. Not your love, but your freedom. The serenity of a soul that no longer needs to prove its worth to anyone. There comes a moment everyone hurt by a narcissist reaches. It isn't the day you left, nor the night you cried. It comes quietly when you finally realize you don't need them anymore. Not because you hate them, but because you've learned to stand alone. That's the true turning point. And the strange paradox is, when you let go, they can't. They once believed they'd live rent-free in your mind forever, that you couldn't survive without them, that you'd always crawl back. They were used to feeling irreplaceable. What they don't understand is that pain fades, and healing builds strength beyond their control. When you rediscover yourself, you don't just recover, you rise. You become the mirror of what they fear most, a life where they no longer matter. In their world, value equals dependence. They feel important only when someone needs them. When you're hurting, they feel powerful. When you keep trying, they feel worthy. But when you're peaceful and happy, their whole illusion collapses. Your joy becomes proof they've lost control. That's something their ego can't stand. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to act strong. Just live well. A real smile, a calm heart, a love for life that doesn't include them. That alone makes them ache. Because your silence says it all, you have no power here. When you were trapped in their world, you thought freedom meant leaving. But real freedom begins when you can live joyfully without thinking of them at all. When you can see them and feel nothing. When you can tell your story without pain. That's when you've truly moved beyond. The most painful thing for them isn't that you left. It's that you surpassed them quietly. No drama, no revenge, just peace. They might come back again, pretending to regret, but pay attention. People who still need control never change. They don't miss you. They miss how you made them feel important. Now that you don't, they feel small. They once mistook your kindness for weakness, but now they see your calm strength and it unsettles them. They'll watch from afar, through photos, through others, through silence. They'll see you smile, succeed, and glow, and they'll wonder, how can she be happy without me? In their world, no one is supposed to be happy without them. When you prove otherwise, their illusion shatters. You're not trying to hurt them, you're just living. You're rebuilding your heart, replanting your garden, laughing again. And that is the deepest cut. You become living proof that they couldn't break you. You show that no one can own a soul that knows its worth. They'll spend years pretending they've moved on, but your peace will always haunt them, because your happiness isn't revenge, it's truth. You're proof that love is freedom, not control. One day you'll look back and smile, not because you forgot the pain, but because you understand it made you who you are. You'll no longer blame or question. You'll simply see that not everyone is meant to stay, but everyone teaches you something. They made you doubt, but you found yourself again. You've learned that love isn't submission and freedom isn't coldness. True love grows from awareness, from loving without losing yourself, from leaving without hate. Maybe they'll never change. Maybe they'll keep chasing new faces to fill their void. That's their path, not yours. Your story is the journey from pain to understanding, from fear to freedom, from dependence to peace. And every step you've taken is proof that you deserve a life of truth and calm. Your power was never in revenge or comparison. It was always in your stillness, in the smile you give yourself, in the love you offer without losing self-respect, in the peace of knowing you need no one's validation. The narcissist may try to forget you, but they'll never forget the feeling of standing before someone who found themselves again. Because in you, they saw what they can't have. Wholeness, and that realization will follow them forever. So don't regret loving the wrong person. Every heartbreak led you closer to yourself. Keep walking, gently, confidently, and with gratitude. The one who once broke you unknowingly helped you discover your strength. And when you can smile in peace, that's not just the end of pain. It's the beginning of your new life. True freedom and self-worth come from loving yourself, setting boundaries, and no longer seeking validation from those who cannot respect you. When you stop trying to prove your value, you reclaim your peace, happiness, and inner strength. Your growth becomes your power, and your life becomes a reflection of self-respect, joy, and authenticity, something no one can take away.